Good morning, student. I hope you are doing good today. So today we'll be starting off with the first chapter in computer, that is the computer system. So this is the part 1 of the video. Before starting off the chapter, I want you all to grab your pens and notebooks because we'll be doing a number of small activities during this session of the video. So children, this chapter is divided into two parts. The first part contains what is a computer, what are the characteristics of a computer, and what are the limitations of a computer. Whereas in part 2 of the video, you will have the different generations of computer. So children, as you know, computer plays a vital role in our life. From the time you wake up, you check your mobile phones for what are the tutorials you will be studying today, what are the new documents you are reading, what are the new latest headlines, what is happening around the world, what are the different games, different technologies. So all these updates you will be seeing in your mobile phones. Then there are number of gadgets you are surrounded by. For example, your refrigerators, the automated machines, all these appliances, they have applications of computer technology. Then when you go out, you see the ATM machines, the automated doors in the shopping mall. So all these devices, they are equipped with computer technology. So in a way, if you see, today our life is evolving around the computer. So computer has its application in most of the electronic devices. So now, before going into the depth of the topics, let us start with the basics. Let us understand what is a computer and what are the features of computer which makes computer with great importance in our lives. Okay children, so now let us understand what is a computer or what is the definition of computer. So as we all know, computer works on electricity. So the first fact about computer is an electronic machine. So now, how does this electronic machine work? So we all know, first we have to give some input to the computer. Once the computer receives the input, it will process your information. And once the processing is done, then you will see the processed data, that is output, using some output devices. So in simple terms, you can say computer is an electronic machine that takes input, processes it, and gives output. So this is the definition of computer. So children, now I want you to grab your notebooks and pen because this is time for some quick questions. So my first question to you is, what language does computer understands? Your options are option A, binary, option B, English. So those of you who have answered it as option A, binary, your answer is correct. Now this leads me to the second question. My second question to you is, why does computer understands only the binary language? So children, as you know, Charles Babbage is known as the father of the modern computer. So now, why did he design a machine that understands binary language, that is the numbers 0 and 1 as the input language? But why not the simple English or any other language which we can understand? So, the reason to this I'll be discussing by the end of this video. So, stay tuned. Now coming to the characteristics of computer. So, what are the properties of computer that makes computer so important to us? Because if you see, it is very difficult to imagine our lives without computer these days. So before learning the characteristics of computer, children, I want you to do a small activity. Please take your notebooks and write down any 5 properties of computer that makes computer important to you. So you have to be very quick at this. Write down any 5. So by now you must have written them. Okay. So by now you must have written any 5 properties of computer which make computer important to you. Now let us see some of the general characteristics of computer one by one. So the first characteristic of the computer that makes computer important to us is the speed. So children, we all know that computer works really fast. It gives you the output in fraction of seconds. Now let us understand this property of computer with a simple example. So I want you to take your notebooks and calculate what is 285 multiplied by 64. So please calculate in your notebook 285 multiplied by 64, and while you are doing the calculation, please make note of the time. Now children, find out the same multiplication using the calculator in your computer. So just open the calculator and calculate 285 multiplied by 64. Now please note down the time in which you got the answer. Now compare both the times, the time taken by you to do the multiplication and the time taken by the computer to do the multiplication. So now if you see here children, when we compare the time between the two, the time taken by computer is hardly in fractions of second. So this is only for the 3 digits. Now you can repeat the same activity by increasing the number of digits and finding out the product. So if you can see, computer gives us result in no seconds, and that leads us to the second characteristic of computer, that is accuracy. So not only the speed, but the answer is also much accurate in computer. So if you are multiplying in decimals, if you can see, the computer will give you the answer for the decimals also very accurately. Next, coming to the third characteristic of computer. The third characteristic of computer is the storage capacity. We all know that we can store large files in computer very easily. The memory of computer is very large to accommodate all these amount of data and softwares in it. So the computer will have internal memory as well as external memory. So once the internal memory is full, or if at all you want to store the data, you can attach the external memory to the computer and store your data in the external memory as well. This will reduce your paperwork. So you don't have to store your files on papers. Instead, you can store these files in a digital format by using the storage of computer. The next characteristic of a computer is versatile. It's versatility. So versatility means nothing but performing different tasks at the same time. For example, while you are typing anything on the computer, you can play music in the background, or when you are playing any game, along with the game you can open any other software and work with that also. Similarly, when you are playing any AI game or any other virtual reality game, along with the game, you can mail your friends or you can text your friends. So, doing multiple tasks at the same time is versatility, and this is also a very important property of computer. The next characteristic of the computer is computer has no feelings. Because it is an electronic machine, it will perform the operations what are instructed to it. Other than that, it will not do anything on its own. The next property of computer is quick decisions. Because it's the user who feeds the instruction in the computer, that is why computer can make the decisions very quickly when compared to human beings, because the instructions are already fed in the computer. The operations which it has to perform is already read in the computer. So that is the reason it will make quick decisions. The next characteristic is secrecy. So you can save your files and protect your files with different passwords in your computer. For example, suppose when you use your debit cards or ATM cards, you protect your money transfers using a PIN. Similarly, in your mobile phones also, you can lock your mobile phone with a PIN or thumb impression or the face scan. So by this, you are protecting your files, you are protecting your data inside your device. So this is the characteristic of computer, that you can protect your data by using different protecting mechanisms, like you can give a PIN, or you can have a thumb scan, or you can go for your face scan, etc. The last characteristic of the computer is consistency. Children, now for example, if I ask you to perform a task, the same task 10 to 20 times, so it is little hectic for us. We may not be interested in repeating the action 10 to 20 times. But then, what about computer? Computer performs the task consistently as many number of times as you want. So it can perform the same set of instructions number of times with the same speed and same accuracy. So consistency is the last characteristic of the computer. So now check, when I asked you to write 5 characteristics of the computer, just check the 5 characteristics which you have written, do they match the characteristics which I told you in the video? So accordingly you can score yourself. Now that children, we know the characteristics of computer, let us also learn some limitations of computer. So before starting off with the limitations of computer, we'll do the same drill. I want you to take your notebooks and write down any 5 limitations of computer. So according to you, what are the limitations of computer? Just take your notebooks and write down any 5. So you have to be really quick at this, children. By now you must have written at least 3. Okay, so I hope everybody has written all the 5. Now let us discuss 5 limitations of computer. The first limitation is computer has no emotions or feelings. So though computer can perform our task very effectively, but then it doesn't have any emotions. You can give instructions to the computer to perform some task, but you cannot instruct the computer to emote. The next one is no learning. Computer cannot learn new topics on its own. You have to give instructions and data to the computer, and only then it will display you the data. If the computer is not given any instruction, it will not self learn on its own and give you the new data. The next limitation of computer is self care. A computer cannot take care of itself like a human being. It depends on the human being for this purpose. So if at all there is any problem in the computer, so computer will not rectify or heal that problem on its own. It's the human being who has to take care of the problem. Coming to the next one, that is, it is dependent on electricity. Now children, imagine if there is no electricity and your computer is not working because there is no electricity. Maybe you can connect the computer with some power backups. You may connect the computer with your UPS. But then, what if the charging of the UPS is drained? Then automatically your computer will shut down. Similarly with your laptops. So though we have the power backups, but still, if there is no electricity, your computer will not function. The next limitation of computer is zero IQ. So a computer can only complete the tasks which are instructed to it. It has no intelligence of its own to complete the task or to take any decision on its own. So children, these are some of the limitations of computer. So now please verify the limitations which you have written to the limitations which I have explained. Now, here are some self-assessment questions to you. I want you to answer these questions in your notebooks. So the first question is, what is a computer? So to this question, you have to write the definition of the computer. The second question is, list any 3 characteristics of computer. So we have discussed 8 characteristics in the video. Out of 8, you can write any 3 characteristics of your own. Then question number 3 is, list any 2 limitations of computer. So we have discussed 5 limitations. You may write any 2 limitations. The last question is, name the father of modern computer. So children, now that you have done your self-assessment, now comes to the last part of the video. I told you I'll be discussing why computer understands only the binary language. So the answer is very simple. The definition of computer says, computer is an electronic machine. And if you can see, all the electronic machines work on a very basic principle, that is on the switch and off the switch. So here in computer, on is represented by 1 and off is represented by 0. That is the reason computer understands the binary language, that is zeros and ones. So children, this is the end of our first video, the first part of the computer system. I hope you have understood the basic. So in the next part of this chapter, we will study what are the different generations of computer and how the computer got evolved from the very basic version to the modern day computer we use today. Thank you.